The night begins with glittering chandeliers, champagne flutes clinking, and the hum of corporate elites mingling at the annual gala. Madison, dressed in a sleek midnight blue gown, feels a quiet sense of pride. She has worked tirelessly behind the scenes for years, ensuring every campaign succeeded, every client was satisfied. Tonight, she thought, might finally be her night to shine. She arrives on Daniel's arm, his charm as polished as the cufflinks at his wrists. They look like the perfect power couple, the kind people expect to see walking red carpets. For Madison, it feels like validation that she belongs here, not just as an employee, but as Daniel's partner. Yet, beneath her polished exterior, she carries years of being overlooked, praised for her efficiency but never promoted, seen but not spotlighted. Still, she believes Daniel when he tells her patience will pay off, that their time is coming. That fragile hope shatters in an instant when the CEO taps his glass for silence. Announcing an extraordinary moment, Madison claps politely, assuming it's about a merger. Instead, she hears Daniel's name. Cameras flash. The crowd hushes. And there, on stage, Daniel bends down not to her but to Elena, the CEO's daughter, sliding a glittering ring onto her finger as the room erupts in applause. Madison freezes, every nerve in her body tightening like shattered glass. Her breath catches, her world tilts, and she feels the burn of betrayal even before she can process the cruel reality. She is standing in the audience, not beside him. Madison barely has time to retreat into the shadows before Daniel finds her. His face is slick with the confidence of a man who believes he has won, his future secured by bloodlines and money. He doesn't look ashamed. He looks relieved, as if dropping a heavy mask. Madison's voice trembles as she whispers, 3 years, Daniel. 3 years, and this is how I find out? He doesn't flinch. Instead, he leans in, his words a dagger wrapped in silk. You were never part of the plan, Maddie. It was just business. Just business. The words echo louder than the champagne toasts in the background, louder than the applause that still rattles the hall. For Daniel, their relationship was a transaction, a placeholder, a strategy to keep him polished and desirable until the real prize, Elena, was secured. For Madison, those years were everything. Every late night working, every sacrifice made believing she was building both a career and a life with him. She feels her identity unravel, each memory poisoned by the realization that she was never loved, only used. In that moment, Daniel isn't just breaking her heart, he's invalidating her worth, reducing her to nothing more than a stepping stone on his climb to power. The cruelty isn't in the affair, but in the calculation. She wasn't betrayed by passion, but by strategy. As Madison stands there, stunned and invisible while her colleagues whisper and snap photos, the full scope of the betrayal sinks in. This isn't just about Daniel choosing Elena, it's about the empire surrounding them. The CEO beams proudly at his daughter and soon-to-be son-in-law, sealing a merger of family and business that Madison never had a chance to penetrate. Around her, coworkers murmur, some with pity, most with gossip sharpened like knives. To them, she's not the victim of heartbreak, but a cautionary tale. Don't confuse loyalty for leverage. Madison realizes with brutal clarity that she was never seen as Daniel's equal or as an asset worth protecting. She was expendable, a convenient placeholder, until the corporate dynasty demanded a more strategic union. The humiliation is public, her downfall displayed like a cruel spectacle for everyone in that glittering ballroom. Yet within that crushing humiliation lies the hook, the seed of transformation. Betrayed, stripped of illusions, Madison feels the first flicker of rage beneath her heartbreak. She sees now that she isn't just collateral damage, she's been a pawn in a ruthless corporate game. And pawns, though underestimated, are capable of reshaping the entire board when they reach the other side. The audience leans in, knowing this isn't the end of Madison's story, it's the beginning of her awakening. Madison didn't arrive in the corporate world through privilege or name. She clawed her way there through raw talent, relentless work ethic, and a vision sharper than most of the pedigreed executives around her. Raised in a modest two-bedroom apartment by her single mother, a woman who worked two jobs just to keep the lights on, Madison grew up hearing one refrain: "Don't let anyone use your fire for their gain." It was advice she clung to, though she never quite understood the weight of it until adulthood. Her mother meant that Madison's drive, intelligence, and ambition should never be sacrificed for someone else's ladder. And yet, despite that wisdom, Madison carried a soft spot, a quiet vulnerability she rarely admitted to: love. Where in business she was razor sharp, and love she allowed herself to trust, to believe in promises whispered at midnight. With Daniel, she thought she had found not just a partner, but a co-architect of her future. Their talks of building something together fueled her, convincing her that the long hours and sacrifices were not just about climbing the corporate ladder, but about laying the foundation for a shared empire. That trust, that belief in their union became her blind spot, the one place where she let her guard down, unknowingly leaving herself exposed to betrayal. In Madison's orbit, a handful of people shape her journey and underscore the stakes of her betrayal. Claire, her best friend since college, is both her fiercest defender and her reality check. A sharp-tongued attorney with her own battles in a male-dominated legal firm, Claire sees the world in contracts and clauses, warning Madison not to let emotions override strategy. Where Madison is heart, Claire is logic, but their bond is forged from mutual respect and unconditional loyalty. On the other side of the chessboard sits Richard Hawley, the CEO, a man who built his empire on charm layered over ruthless calculation. To him, people are chess pieces valuable only in the positions they hold. His daughter, Elena, is both his greatest pride and his deepest disappointment. Elegant, poised, and groomed for the spotlight, Elena nonetheless carries annoying insecurity. Her father's approval always feels just out of reach. Daniel's engagement to her isn't born from passion, but from strategy. Richard securing his dynasty by binding his protégés to his bloodline, and Elena clutching at a chance to finally prove she is worthy of her father's empire. In this triangle of power, Madison becomes the odd one out, the outsider who believed love could hold weight. In a world that only respects leverage. In the days following the gala, Madison realizes the fallout is not just emotional, but existential. Heartbreak is one wound, but reputation in the corporate world is another beast entirely, and hers is under siege. With Daniel's engagement to Elena, he isn't just climbing the ladder. He is securing a permanent seat at the top, shielded by the CEO's blessing. By contrast, Madison is being recast in the narrative as the foolish girl who thought she mattered, the woman who mistook pillow talk for strategy, who believed loyalty meant security. Gossip swirls in hushed tones around the office, colleagues offering polite smiles that barely hide their smirks. Every whispered word chips away at her credibility, threatening to erase years of hard work. She understands now, if she allows this story to define her, her career is over before it truly begins. Worse, her late mother's words echo in her mind with haunting clarity. Don't let anyone use your fire for their gain. She has, unwittingly, done exactly that. The man she loved has stolen her fire and turned it into fuel for his own ascent. Now Madison stands at a crossroads. Either she lets this betrayal bury her, or she reclaims her power not just to survive, but to prove that pawns can become queens when they decide the rules no longer apply in weeks. Following the gala humiliation, Madison throws herself into work, clinging to the one thing she still believes she controls: her career. For months, she had been spearheading a project that could redefine the company's branding strategy, a brainchild born of sleepless nights, meticulous research, and a creative vision that set her apart. Every chart, campaign angle, and strategic forecast carried her fingerprints. It was her shot at stepping out of Daniel's shadow, proving her worth beyond being his partner. But one morning, an anonymous email lands in her inbox. An internal memo circulated to senior executives. Her stomach knots as she scrolls through it. The project, the very one she nurtured from concept to near completion, is being credited entirely to Daniel. His name is plastered across the presentation as the architect, while hers is absent, erased as if she never existed. At first, she thinks it's a mistake. But as she digs deeper, she discovers presentation drafts where her contributions have been deliberately removed, her notes rewritten in Daniel's polished corporate tone. The truth curdles in her stomach. This was no oversight. It was a theft, a calculated erasure designed to elevate him while discarding her. Fury drives her to confront Daniel, cornering him late one evening in his sleek glass-walled office. Her voice shakes, not with weakness, but with the sheer effort of containing rage. "That project was mine," she says, her eyes burning into him. "Every insight, every late night, you knew it, and you stole it." Daniel doesn't deny it. Instead, he leans back in his chair, unbothered, almost smug, as if he had been waiting for this moment. "Madison," he says smoothly, "you're brilliant. But brilliance without power is wasted. I used what you gave me. That's survival. That's business." The words slice through her, sharper than any blade. He doesn't see her as a partner, not even as a rival, just as raw material to be harvested, exploited, and discarded. For Daniel, morality is irrelevant. Only results matter. And in his world, survival isn't about integrity. It's about who gets credit, who holds leverage, who stands closest to the throne. As he speaks, Madison sees the full scale of his betrayal. Their relationship wasn't just a personal deception, it was professional sabotage. He never intended to build something together. He intended to build on her back. Standing in that office, Madison feels the ground shift beneath her. The heartbreak from the gala had left her reeling, but this cuts deeper. It threatens her very identity. Her love life and career have collided into one devastating realization. Daniel's betrayal isn't just emotional, it's existential. He has taken her future, her credibility, and years of work, reducing her to a ghost in her own story. The humiliation at the gala now feels like Act 1 of a larger scheme. For the first time, she sees Daniel clearly not as the man she loved, but as an adversary, ruthless and unapologetic. His words crystallize into a challenge she cannot ignore. Brilliance without power is wasted. He believes she is powerless. That belief sparks something new in her, a raw ember beneath the ashes of betrayal. Madison understands now this is no longer about heartbreak, about mending or moving on. This is war. War for her career, for her dignity, for the fire her mother warned her never to let anyone use. And if Daniel thinks brilliance without power is wasted, then Madison is determined to show him what happens when brilliance learns how to wield its own. Madison throws herself into research like a drowning woman clinging to driftwood. The theft of her project and Daniel's cutting words replay endlessly in her mind, fueling a restless determination to uncover the truth about how deep his deceit goes. Nights stretch into dawns as she combs through archived reports, cross-referencing internal data and scanning old contracts that others dismissed as routine. Slowly, a disturbing pattern emerges. Hidden beneath layers of corporate polish are discrepancies, numbers massaged, accounts shifted, deals that don't add up. Daniel, once her confidant, is at the center of it all, covering up financial irregularities that point directly back to Richard Hull. Was once a betrayal of the heart is now a betrayal of justice, of integrity. Yet even as her discoveries sharpen into clarity, the world around her begins to suffocate. In the office, conversations fall silent when she enters. Former allies avert their eyes. Others whisper with mocking smirks, treating her like a tragic figure, the discarded lover who overstepped her place. The isolation gnaws at her, leaving her vulnerable, hollow, and sleepless. In the darkness of her apartment, she replays Daniel's words,